So this should be your setup when you are working on mixing colors. You need to have your plate, your water bowl filled, a brush on top of your dirty mat. What you first need to start off with is whatever primary color you have on top or the side. It doesn't really matter. You need to put a small amount of your color, about the size of a dime. You don't want to do too much. If we were working on an artwork, then it would make sense to have a lot more. But this time, we're just trying to learn how to use value with color. Then you want to put a little bit of black and a little bit of white. That will help you make the dark value and the light value. So you first want to start off by grabbing your first color and making a little pile. You don't want to do too much. Then you want to clean your brush and make sure to wipe it on the rag that you guys already have. Grab some white. We're going to start with the tint of the color. Then you mix that in, and that will give you a light value of your color. In this case, blue, and we get sky blue. Then you want to take your time and paint it neatly inside the lines. I won't be grading on how well you paint this time, but next time craftsmanship will be taken into account. So you paint in your color, and you have to make sure to clean your brush all the way. If you don't clean your brush all the way, you'll have some paint left, and that's why you want to wipe it on the rag, also to get rid of that water you have in there. Next, you grab the medium color. So that's going to be blue. This is your original color, the hue. Again, take your time, try and paint within the lines. Since I already have blue on there, I can go ahead and go straight to blue and not get it dirty. And then you want to make a pile. You always want to wash your brush after you mix colors and change colors because you don't want them to get dirty. So you can keep using what you already have. When working with black, you always want to have a lot less black than you have of white. Black is an extremely strong color and very often takes over colors that are lighter. Blue doesn't take over quite as much because it's already a dark color. But you can see we've got a darker value of blue. Go ahead and paint that in the next spot, taking your time. Notice I'm changing the angle of my brush so I can go and line it in with the outside. I clean my brush again because I'm going to get a new color. There's two ways to make a tone. I'm going to show you the first way. You can grab some of your white, put it down, switching colors, so I got to clean my brush. Grab a little bit of black. I don't want to have too much because then my tone's going to be too dark. So that's how you make gray, is by mixing black and white. So I've got my gray made. I'm going to grab my original color, which is blue. So I'm going to start by putting my pile of blue on the side. When you're mixing colors, you always want to bring in one color to the other because you don't want to get too much where you can't tell. So then I paint down my tone. It's a lighter tone, so the value is a little bit lighter, but you can always tell a tone when you have it next to an original because it's duller. So notice these colors are bright, that one looks dull. If you have time, then you work on your next color. So I'm going to go ahead and work on yellow because that's next on the color wheel. Going to move it to a different side of my plate. Yellow is a little runny. That's just the way it is. So I'm going to start by making a pile of yellow. Always want to separate that color when you're mixing. You don't want to dump on top of each other just in case you get the wrong color. So here I'm grabbing a lot more white than I did with blue because yellow is a brighter color. It takes a lot more white to make this noticeable in the value change because it's so bright. Once I've got my tint, I'm going to make sure I'm at my appropriate spot and paint that on the inside. You always want to double check you've got the correct color in the correct spot. And I'm going to go ahead, same process, cleaning my brush, getting some of my original color and painting that down. Same, cleaning my brush. And then I'm going to grab some yellow, move it to the side. Going to grab a very small, hardly any black. If you have too much black, it's going to take over that yellow. And yellow will naturally turn to kind of a greenish color. That's just the way it looks. So I have a very light shade. I actually want to kind of make it a little bit darker. So I'm going to go back and grab a little bit more black and add that in. Most of you guys will probably wind up with a color like this. And so this time I'm going to skip my step of making gray. What you can do, since you've added black to this color and added white to this color, is mix the two and that'll give you your tone. This will save you time. So you don't have to mix gray each time or mix gray when you start working. Just like last time, it is a light tone, but you can tell it's a lot duller than the color next to it. Then my next color I'm going to be working with is red. Notice how I have many small piles. Again, you do not want to make big piles of these colors because we aren't using them to make a painting. I'm going to go ahead, grab some red, make my pile, grab some white, so it kind of makes a pinkish color. Again, double checking I'm in the correct spot, painting that in. Grabbing some red for the medium value. If you ever get too much black on your brush, you can just kind of wipe it off on the side. That'll help you get rid of that color a little bit. That's what I do. So this will kind of give you that A&M maroon color. Maroon is a shade of red. Just like last time, I'm going to go ahead and save some time and add these two together to make my tone. If I want a darker tone, just add more of that shade in there. If I want a lighter tone, I would have more of that tint. So it's a little hard to see. I'm going to go ahead and clean my brush and grab what gray I have left. That way, make sure it's obvious. And sometimes you'll mix the right colors and they just won't look how you want them to look. In that case, go over them. That gray kind of dried out a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and make some more. So finally, I kind of have a color that I like. You want to avoid trying to mix on your paper, but sometimes you just got to do it. The more you mix on your paper, the weaker it gets. And notice, I've got all these 3 colors made, and I still have room for other colors if I need to do so. Try and work in small piles so you guys don't need to go clean up at the sink.